It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
.06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Monday. Rinse and repeat. Here we go.
Today's show is sponsored by Osculation Rejuvenation for when the hits the fan.
Wait a second now. That can't be the right one. It already did hit the fan. Everybody's freaking out over it. I'll explain that in just a minute. Let's pick another one.
Today's show is sponsored by the Reversible Bidet.
Better.
It's refreshing for both ends. And now in soothing menthol.
Yes, just what you need to hear when you're getting up in the morning and trying to have breakfast. Anyway.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
Now, you've been listening to a lot of those things for over a year now, and I figure when we get to the first of the year, I can go ahead. I'd like to change things up as we get into a new year to give you some more of a fresh show to listen to. And I was thinking of doing some that had to do with a new era and a new presidency, stuff like that. But humorous, funny. You know, I've been picking on Dave from San Francisco for a while, which, by the way, how do you think he's doing? Hold on, before I get into the topic for the day. How do you think Greg from Laramie is doing right about now? I picture that he was under his bed sucking his thumb. Okay, just a possibility there. And then Dave from San Francisco, who would call in and give us a hard time now and then, hasn't called in a while. And now he must be in complete meltdown mode. I don't know. So we haven't heard from him in a while. So I'll just take a different route with those when we get to the first of the year, because I always like to freshen up the show so it's not the same old thing over and over again. Now, speaking of that, so it was interesting to me during the course of the weekend, most of the programming that was on both conservative former news television and liberal news former news television. Also, their websites, I monitor what these places do all the time. I don't really consume them like I used to. I just kind of watch to see what they're doing out of curiosity. And so, of course, Fox News gloating still, and all of the liberal TV stations and other websites and news organizations still in either gloating mode or meltdown mode. And much like on The View, most of the people on the left out there still, I mean hardcore left, do not understand what happened on Election Day. They don't get it. They're still blaming, even when they look at the numbers, and it shows them that many minority groups, all minority groups really, went heavily for Trump. Women went heavily for Trump. I mean, it really was a sweep across all demographics. And they still want to convince you it's misogynistic and racist to vote for Trump, which is really insulting to the people who crossed over to vote for Trump. Well, you only did it because you're a misogynist and a racist. Really? Okay. They're driving those people away for good. And they're still in meltdown mode. And as I'm watching this, and I'm watching the gloaters too, and I finally said, okay, to me, that's enough. For those people who are still in meltdown mode, let them melt down. Let them they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. As far as the rest of us, you conservatives, more libertarian guys like me, and even those people who crossed over, welcome to the dark side, and to join us. Can we get busy now fixing things that need to be fixed and making some really hard decisions here? Time just to start putting it together and getting busy. And I know that Trump is doing that with his administration now, putting together a cabinet and so on. And the Republicans need to do that. They're looks like they're going to win the House, those Republicans. They definitely have the Senate. So there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. And we can do that. Forget this hope and change and moving forward garbage. No, let's roll up our sleeves and get busy fixing some things in our government, but also locally as well. Okay? In our cities, counties, and states. There's a lot of work to do. And as far as I'm concerned, the work ought to make me feel real good as we get it done to get things back to where I think they really should be. And to me, that's a nation that is liberty-based, freedom-based, limited government. You know, be more the libertarian. I want the smallest possible government. Many of you out there want the exact same thing, the smallest possible government that we have. So let the left melt down. And they're going to continue to. And they're going to continue to push themselves into irrelevancy. Because remember now, those people who crossed over to vote for Trump, I don't think the crossover votes, which were many in the millions, I don't think those people put on MAGA hats and are screaming fans for Trump. They just were done with the Democrats. So here's an opportunity to show them what true limited government and liberty and so on can be. And government's not here to tell anyone what to do, by the way. Government's not here to provide for anyone. America is about opportunity. Opportunity for you to create your own life, and that is free from government intrusion. So a lot of what needs to be done simply is just dismantling what the establishment, and I'm not just going to say Democrats, the establishment in Washington, D.C. has spent many decades building, needs to be dismantled. And so let's get busy to the work of doing that. Now, some of it can be done easily. Some of it will be difficult to do because, again, we have a long-term establishment in D.C. that's not going to go away overnight. They're just not going to. But we can make some major changes and make a huge dent into this. And we can certainly make a list. Yes, when it comes to deportation of illegals, my idea, first off, cut off all the free stuff. Most of the deportations happen themselves. We don't have to do it for them. We don't have to gather them up and ship them out. Cut off the free stuff. And if you're in this country illegally, you can't have a job. We'll go after the people who are giving illegals jobs. There. Now, they don't have jobs. They don't have free stuff. So where are they going? Well, they'll have to leave. They'll have to go somewhere else where they can get what they need. That's a big part of the deportations right there. And then we'll talk about other things this morning, like energy. That's huge. But also restoring more of a capitalist country, which is not what we have right now. This is a soft form of socialism known as fascism, which is when someone can independently own a business, but essentially the government runs everything. That's what we're doing now. If you look up that form of government, that's what we're doing right now. And a lot of that's got to be dismantled. There's a lot of work to do. I am in favor of closing down the Department of Education because the bigger the Department of Education gets, the worse our schools get. So let's close that down too. There's a lot of other things we can talk about. There's a list of things. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, for those people that are still out there gloating, I understand this is a huge moment for you. For those people that are still out there melting down, I get it, and you're gonna have to deal because this is the way it's going to be for a while. And boy, things are really not going to go your way. But not the way they think. They're thinking Nazi Germany and internment camps and things like that. That's not what's going to happen. But these are people who can't be helped anyway. So I'm done listening to them. Personally, I'm done listening to them. And I want to move on to fixing what needs to be fixed. And yeah, I kind of have a list of those things. We'll go through some of that among other stories this morning. 6:15, Wake Up Wyoming.
Woke Radio, WOKE, the shortwave radio station that identifies as 1,000-watt FM. Because we are what we feel, not we feel what we are.
So many opinions, we had to build the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app to hold them all. Free download from AM 1030 K2 Radio.
6:22 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Jim and Casper is reminding us, thank a vet today, because today is Veterans Day, after all. 888-97 Woods phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. Judy is up bright and early. Hey, Jude.
Hey, good morning, Glenn. I was going to call you Friday, but I got tied up.
Mm-hmm.
Rose and I have been working on that PowerPoint presentation to Planning and Zoning for Tuesday. I just wanted to tell everybody that we did get our 15 minutes, and I appreciate that from the Planning and Zoning and the Board of County Commissioners. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is the two bills that were killed that would have protected the landowners from eminent domain for power lines and stuff. So I think if everybody showed up and we started telling them that, you know, there's a lot of problems with this company and there's a lot of problems with their plans and stuff, that we might just be able to beat it for now here in Natrona County, that the money's not worth, what they used to say, the squeeze is not worth the juice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to remind everybody that it's Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. I'm not sure how they'll, whether they'll go like they normally do. Those who are for it will go first, and then Rose and I will go second. We've got other people that are going to speak too, but hopefully they'll give them back their 5 minutes. I asked the county commissioners that last week to please give them back their 5 minutes, since 3 minutes is just not enough time to complete a thought. But anyway, I hope Greg and Laramie is miserable.
Yeah. Still under his bed, sucking his thumb. I'm sure you're feeling really good. Oh, by the way, as you're talking about the solar panels out in your area, I know there's a lot of money already in the pipeline that will get spent on wind and solar, across the country, not just our area. It's not going to get turned off overnight, but that's something that Trump said he was going to do as far as subsidies are concerned, which I think in the long run does nothing but help states like Wyoming to. I mean, if somebody wants to put it up under their own money, that's a different story. But the subsidies, even for the ones that are currently existing, will start to affect those wind and solar farms because subsidies keep them running once they are put up. So the landscape will change.
Well, exactly. And there's a lot of problems with it, but we'll discuss that Tuesday. I just thought I'd tell you that we've got it together. We turned in our presentation to them Friday, and Rose is looking forward to pounding them. I think these guys don't know a lot of things that we found out, and they should be aware of them before they go passing something like this.
Okay.
Secondly, on that, we found out that this company has lots of projects, about 7 of them across the United States, and not too many of them are actually in use. This seems more like a Ponzi scheme than anything else, because their investors are hidden from us. We don't know who they are. They got an infusion of like $75 million is all they've got in their bank accounts, so I don't know what's going on, but we're going to open it up pretty wide come Tuesday, and I just wanted to tell you thank you for supporting
Thank you,
Trump.
Jude. Keep us up to date on that, too, because I'd like to know how this all goes for you.
Thank you.
All right, so Jude calling in early in the morning. What's happening, if you're not up to date on the story, near where she lives, there's a project going in, which is a pretty good-sized solar farm. And she doesn't want it near her property, nor do some other people in that area, for some, I think, pretty legit reasons. So they're talking to county commissioners about not allowing the project in that area. Okay. And she was able to get 15 minutes to talk, because those people who are for the project, including the people who are building the solar project, they get a chance to get up in front of county commissioners and do a PowerPoint presentation. Well, okay, do the people who are opposed to it get a chance to get up and do a PowerPoint presentation as to why they don't want the thing? Well, the county commissioners said, yes, you can. That's fair. Thanks for doing that. Judy and Rose are putting together that presentation. Tuesday's when they put it out. But part of what I was saying to Judy, and remember this, folks, we do have a lot of money already in the pipeline from the Biden administration heading toward projects like this. And that money is going to continue down that pipeline for a little while. Trump has to get into office, and things have to happen before that money can get shut down. And I'm opposed to subsidies. Now, again, if somebody wants to get investors of their own and build a wind and solar farm, hey, it's their money, their investors, go ahead. If that's what you want to do with your own investors. I'm in favor of a free market, but not money being borrowed from future generations, which is what we're doing, in order to subsidize wind and solar. No. And that includes subsidies heading to current wind and solar farms, because once these things are built, in large part, they mostly continue to get the money. That's what keeps them in business. Most of these wind and solar farms are not profitable. They operate at a loss. And so the money, once it dries up, once the subsidies dry up, that's going to change the entire landscape, figuratively and literally, when it comes to energy in America. And I know what the left is going to scream. You don't care about the planet. We'll have that discussion as this starts to happen. Coming up on 6:30, local news coming your way. After local news, update on your weather forecast, which is a little on the squirrely side. Extended weather forecast is at 6:45. Although today, statewide, region-wise, ought to be a really nice day overall. Don Day will explain. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Wake Up Wyoming goes anywhere you do with the Wake Up Wyoming app. Free download for Apple and Android. This is K2 Radio.
.36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Monday. It is Veterans Day. Make sure you thank a vet today. And, oh, by the way, Trump is president. There you go. While I get that out of the way for you, I know you're still feeling good about it. Part of what I'm talking about. So, all right, sit down. We got to move on with the program here. You would, please. Okay, good. Guy's still really enthusiastic about all this. Okay, so Republicans are closer, getting a little bit closer to a U.S. House majority. So the story says this weekend, the Republicans move closer to securing a majority in the U.S. House, which would give the GOP a trifecta in the federal government and a smoother path to adopting key legislative priorities. Hopefully this time the Republicans don't blow it. As of Sunday, Republicans have won 216 in the House. Democrats 209. 10 races still undecided. Republicans need to win at least 2 of those remaining 10 races to get the 218 needed for a majority. So according to the Hill Democrats, in 2 of those remaining 10 races, the Democrats lead in 2 of those 10 remaining races, while Republicans lead in the other 8. Republicans already hold a majority in the U.S. Senate, 53 seats. That's good. Secured to Democrats' 46. In one remaining Senate race yet to be called, Democrat Ruben Giuliano leads. And it breaks them down. But okay. One thing that gets me, though, is remember Lisa Murkowski? She was a Republican in Alaska, and she lost to a Democrat. Although I look at that and I think, is that really a loss? Because although she was a Republican with an R by her name, she was a Democrat. She constantly voted with Democrats, said Democrat things, did Democrat things. There was always a complaint that she was a Democrat and was in the wrong party. So for her to lose the race to an actual Democrat, so I look at that and think, well, the Republicans really didn't lose anything there. You could say Republicans lost that seat. I don't think they did. I think the Democrats already had those seats, that seat there, for many decades. Many decades with her. Well, I don't know how long was Murkowski there? I think I'm giving her credit for more time than she was actually there, because to me it seems like forever. You know, when you're talking to someone you don't like and it seems like you've talked to them a lot longer than you actually did? Yeah, that kind of a thing. Okay, let me see. U.S. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson On Friday, the American people have spoken, given us a mandate. Okay. We will be prepared to deliver on day one. Well, I hope so, but I don't trust Mike Johnson to do it. Johnson, who's seeking to reclaim his speakership role in the House, sworn in January. Quote, with Republicans in control, we will secure the border, grow the economy, restore the American energy dominance, and et cetera, everything you'd expect him to say. But I look at that and I think, well, I would prefer, and I don't know who. Now, I haven't thought out who yet, but get rid of Johnson and get somebody else in there who would do a much better job as Speaker of the House. We'll see. But for those who are hoping that Republicans gain control of the House, so far it looks good. Now, as far as I'm concerned, nothing is done until it's done. So I have a lot of hope for that, but we'll wait and see if they actually get control of the House of Representatives. How do you think the squad is doing, by the way, in the House? Yeah, I know some members of the squad are in full denial and meltdown mode. They are going to be really entertaining over the next 4 years. Ocasio-Cortez and other people like that. I'm just waiting to see how they react over the next 4 years. To me, that's just great show prep. And the more irrelevant they become, the better. The less that they can get done, the more irrelevant they can get. They become much better for everybody. So let them go ahead and mouth off as long as they're in a position where they really can't get anything done. Plus, in a position where we can undo a lot of the things that they did. And then, again, let them have their meltdowns. Now, remember, these are the people, like, for example, Ocasio-Cortez, who wanted to get rid of your gas stove, and yet she lives in an apartment where she cooks on a gas stove. And when that was pointed out, well, it came with the apartment, period. Well, then put an electric burner on top, period. But that's the kind of person she is. So it's going to be fun to watch the meltdown over the next few years. She has no idea what to do with a majority in the House and the Senate, and Trump is president again. So, again, total meltdown and freak-out mode. And just as far as I'm concerned, let it happen. That's just fine. Republicans this time around, don't blow it. The American people spoke in large number and gave you everything. I say that because they've blown it so many times in the past. All right, 6:42 is the time. Don Day is an extended weather forecast for you. It's Wake Up.
Got something to say to Glenn? Use the chat on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app and get your opinions straight to the studio with K2 Radio.
6:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the Icebox. Frank Gambino's waiting by. Good weekend, Frank?
Oh, boy, it was really busy.
Okay.
The state high school volleyball tournament in Casper wrapped up on Saturday. That was probably the largest crowd I think I had seen for the championship round ever.
Wow.
I mean, there were a lot of folks there. I mean, which is really, really good to see. So there was a lot of excitement, screaming and yelling and stuff like that. And we had high school football playoffs. This week we'll have the state championship high school games in Laramie. It'll be we're rolling. We're on the sports end. Other than that, I didn't do anything.
Now, in Cheyenne, I did see all of the buses arrive for the swim meet.
Yep.
But they got caught up in that snowstorm that Colorado was having. I had a real tough time getting out of there on Saturday, but I eventually did. I-80 was closed. So a lot of students, because I saw buses from the western part of the state that were down 80. So I suppose quite a few of those people had to stay there for a little while longer.
Or find the long way around if there is a long way around.
There was, yeah. So, okay, I have a picture here. It's a semi-truck on an interstate somewhere. There was a wreck of the semi-truck, which was jam-packed with frozen pizzas.
Boy, I would have pulled over and grabbed a few of those.
Yes, and they are now all over the highway. Now, the boxes burst open. So imagine frozen pizzas still in their plastic.
Yeah, but they're just everywhere.
Spread all over the place.
Grab the ones that were not run over by somebody else.
Yes, and the next thing you would want to do is make sure, is there a like a soda truck nearby? You know, something, a beer truck for you, Frank. You know, something.
Oh, yeah.
Long as that one wrecked, I was always afraid. I saw one time there was a near accident between a Coca-Cola truck and a Mentos truck.
That would have been
bad.
bad.
That would have been, that would have destroyed.
Can you imagine
the
all these
entire
people pulling over for pizza that's on the ground. It's like, they're wading through it, all the boxes, like, I don't want any sausage, and throw that over there, and I don't want any pepperoni.
And if you do throw it away, you throw it like a Frisbee.
Well, they're still frozen.
Yes, yeah, they are. And they're in their plastic, so that's perfectly okay to do there. But, yeah, I wonder if the cops had to stop anyone from jumping out of their vehicles and trying to scoop up some frozen pizzas.
I've seen they had a beer truck wreck, and I think people were trying.
Yes.
I guess you can try, but if the truck is blocking the highway, people are like, get out of here.
I am just trying to help officer clean up the beer.
Yeah.
Is that a problem? I'm doing my civic duty.
And the pizza.
And the pizza there. I don't see what the problem is, officer. Help me out.
All right. National Football League from yesterday. The Denver Broncos choked one away. They lost at Kansas City 16-14. The Broncos did play well enough to win and had a game-winning field goal attempt right in their hands at the end of the game. Will Lutz attempting a 35-yarder, but it was blocked by the Chiefs, and that was a major, major, major breakdown by the majority of the Broncos offensive line on that play. They were literally bowled over. Kansas City just finds ways to win. That's what they do. They're 9-0, and the Broncos are 5-5, and will feel the sting for this for a while. They'll meet Atlanta on Sunday. High school football playoffs had their semifinal round over the weekend, and 4A defending champion Sheridan beat Natrona 24-8. Cheyenne East held off Campbell County 35-34, so it's Sheridan and East again for the 4A championship on Saturday at 4 p.m. in Laramie. In 3A, Cody held off Douglas 49-42. Star Valley crushed Riverton 40-0, so it's Star Valley and Cody again for the state championship at 3 p.m. on Friday in Laramie. In 2A, Bighorn stayed unbeaten with a 35-21-5 win over Lovell, and Cokeville drove Mountain View 40-14. Cokeville and Bighorn for the state title at noon on Friday in 2A at War Memorial Stadium. And in 1A, 9-man, Lincolnford Laramie pummeled Big Piney 52-6, and Pine Bluffs over Saratoga 42-12. So Pine and LFL for the 9-man title on Saturday at 1 p.m. in Laramie. Finally, in 1A, 6-man, Little Snake River demolished DuBois 67-0, and Burlington beat Encampment in 3 overtime 74-68. LSR and Burlington again for the 6-man title in Laramie on Saturday at 10 a.m. State High School Volleyball Tournament wrapped up on Saturday at the Ford Center in Casper. In 4A, Kelly Walsh outdued Laramie in 4 entertaining sets, 21-25, 25-22, 25-23, and 25-23 to win the state championship. KW last won a 4A title in 2022. In 3A, Douglas with a thrilling 5-set match down in Cody, 18-25, 25-14, 17-25, 26-24, and 15-12. That was the Bearcats' first state title since 2017. In 2A, Bighorn repeated as the state champions with a 23-25, 25-19, 25-21, and 25-18 win over Tug River. And in 1A, Little Snake River won the state championship for the first time since 2016, beating defending champion Cokeville 25-21, 26-28, 25-19, 21-25, and 15-9. Men's college basketball, the Wyoming Cowboys beat Tennessee State in Laramie yesterday 81-66. Cowboys shot 52% from the field, but a brutal 12 of 24 from the free throw line. Obi Eggman led the way for UW with 24, and the Cowboys will be at Texas Tech in Lubbock coming up on Wednesday.
Wow. You see, normally when you call up all of those numbers and scores, I want to add them up to see what I get.
Probably 503 to 394.
Something like that, yeah, just to see. Does it break any kind of space-time continuum number if I did the math and all of that?
Not really. Go get a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
it's better for you.
I can't add that fast. Thank you. Coming up on some local business, we got to take care of. Going to roll into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. By the way, the number 888-97 Woods. That's 888-97 WOODS. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Six at a time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Monday. It's a Armistice Day, also known as Veterans Day here in America. So make sure you thank a vet today.
Today's show is sponsored by the Reversible Bidet. It's refreshing for both ends. And now in soothing menthol.
And make sure that if you're using that, or if you know someone who is using it, that you just don't kiss them. Just don't even.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
Now, just before I get on to the next topics, and by the way, you can jump in if you want. 888-97-WOODS, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. Or do what other people have done. They text me using the Wake Up Wyoming app. Just hit the chat option. The app is free to download at your app store. Let's see. There's Joel in Cass. Good morning, Glenn. One time in the 80s, Oswan's delivery semi-wrecked towing company employees were buying freezers to scoop up all the steaks and lobsters. Really? I was talking earlier with Frank about a pizza truck that frozen pizzas all over the highway. Doug in Cheyenne. That's a new one. Roadkill Pizza. Yeah. Let's see. And then I got some from Mike Myers down there. Chet and Yoder. Good morning, Chet. Education isn't a... Oh, okay. I'll get to your note in just a moment. Yeah, a whole bunch of people texting me, and from all over the place, too. Casper, Cheyenne, Gillette. There's DJ up there. Mike Myers is in Boone, Chet's in Yoder, and on it goes. So you can do that, too. Just download the Wake Up Wyoming app, free at your app store. Hit the chat option, send me notes. And you can listen to old shows, too, which this show becomes a podcast after I'm done. Okay. Topics lined up. First off, I'm just concerned, just me being concerned, I'm going to go ahead and check in to see how Liz Cheney's doing. See, this is a turnaround on that sound effect. I used to play that because when I would mention her name, you folks out there, your heads would explode. And so what I was doing, that was not a commentary. It was me illustrating what happens every time her name is mentioned, Cheney. But now it's flipped around, isn't it? I say her name, you guys laugh. After this last election, you guys laugh. She, on the other hand, here, watch this. So we sneak into Liz's house and come up behind her and go, Trump. See how that works? Completely flipped around on us. So I'll keep that sound effect around. I probably should put a female voice in there to screaming. That'd work out just fine. All right, a couple of things that some lunatics are trying to do, which I don't think will happen, but it's funny to watch. Here's a headline for you. Former Harris aide calls for Biden to resign to make Kamala president, or Kamala, or however you're pronouncing it, president for the last couple of months before Trump takes office. Enter former Kamala Harris Director Jamal Simpson, who wants to create the biggest participation trophy ever. He told CNN panel that he wants Joe Biden to quit again, this time leaving the White House, and Harris will become the first female president. Let me see. I think I can play the audio for this.
He is looking for. That is my question. I'll start with you.
Joe Biden's been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve her from being able to from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. And it would make sure that it would dominate the news at a point where Democrats have to learn drama and transparency and doing things that the public want to see is the time. This is the moment for us to change the entire perspective of how Democrats operate.
This has now jumped from an internet meme to a Sunday morning show.
Jamal's out here right now. Congratulations. Season of House of Cards.
Okay, so, and you can see, when he suggested that, everybody on the panel there was smiling and smirking like, you absolute idiot for bringing this up. But, okay. And then as he talks about dominating the headlines with drama and stuff like that, you know what the American people would really love? Honesty for once. Not being lied to, not being coerced in any way. Not being told that if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they're just stupid. It's what the American people would really like out of this, instead of just more nonsense, lies, and drama. But, okay, here's yet another Democrat that doesn't get it. On that note, so the Democrats were asking for Justice Sotomayor to step down. That way, Biden can go ahead and pick the next Supreme Court justice. Because they're afraid at her age, she could either step down or die while Trump is president. And then they're afraid Trump would put yet another conservative, translation by conservative, a constitutionalist as a Supreme Court justice. Not an activist, but a Supreme Court constitutionalist. So here's the story from CNN. Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor has made clear she has no plans to step down, according to people close to her, despite calls from some on the left that the President Joe Biden should try to name a successor before Trump takes office. And, quote, she's in great health, and the court needs her now more than ever, said one justice. Some progressives have suggested Sotomayor, the most senior liberal on the conservative Supreme Court, should step down so that Biden could try to name a replacement in the short window before Trump takes office in January. Well, again, simply not going to happen. To me, it's just, I think, hysterical, desperate attempts and theories like this. And a lot of it's used just to take up airtime on useless networks like CNN and MSNBC. They got nothing else to do, so this is what they talk about. But also people out there who like to dream, what we could do. We could really, and they like to dream about stuff like this. But again, it's not going to happen. But it's funny to bring up. Now, I want to thank everybody for something. I wrote a satirical story, and I did this, I think Friday we posted the story. It just suddenly struck me, what if Jackson Hole, which voted heavily for Harris, decided to secede from the Union? They certainly have the money not to raise an army, but not of tanks and airplanes and so on and mercenaries, but an army of lawyers, so they can go ahead and secede from the Union. And they certainly, with all of their money, are self-sustainable. They can go ahead and just make their own little country right there. Look, Wyoming already has other countries within Wyoming, Indian reservations. So, that's basically a country within Wyoming, their own country. So why not have a liberal bastion? I mean, these guys don't need to pack up and move to Canada or someplace like that. They can just stay in Wyoming. Just get a bunch of lawyers, secede from the Union, there they are. So I wrote this satirical bit where we have some quotes from the mayor of Jackson Hole, all faked. And I put it up on the Wake Up Wyoming site. And I can come back in the morning. In this case, it was up there over the weekend. And just read whatever the numbers were, how many people hit the story, read it, shared it, and so on. And wow, this thing really went viral. It took off. It was hysterical. So thank you for doing that. If you haven't seen the story, it's still on the Wake Up Wyoming website. It's a fake interview with the fake mayor of Jackson Hole as he discusses their plans to secede from the Union by bringing in an army of lawyers. If only.
Men, beware. Use one dab of Brill Cream. Just a little dab makes your hair look excitingly clean, disturbingly healthy. This man dared to use 2 dabs. Now he's in trouble. We refuse to be responsible.
Brill Cream, a little dab will do ya. Or watch out, the gals will all pursue ya.
Live and local, all across Wyoming. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Join in at 888-97-WOODS or the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app.
7:19 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number is 888-97-WOODS. That's 888-97-WOODS. I want to get into what some possibilities for a Trump administration means for states like Wyoming, because we have a lot that's going to change. Energy, yes, but also ranching, things like that we have a possibility of changing. I say a possibility because I never believe that something is going to happen until after it happens. I like to make sure that it does. There's a lot that can change between now and then, but the Trump administration's off to a good start without even being in office yet. They're already lining up a lot of good things. But let's see what happens first, because it doesn't always go the way we want it to. Not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just being realistic about when I take a look at it. The things we've set up in the past. Great hopes. Even the Democrats had great hopes for this election, but all right, now, real quick, I'll get back to that later. Real quick. So for those people who are still in freak-out mode, #resistance, that's what's out there now for liberals, are talking about tattooing something blue on themselves to show that they oppose fascism, which they don't understand that they are fascist, but okay. And they can spot other safe people. Now, I have an answer to this, but first, okay, here's what they're putting up on things like Twitter and TikTok.
As one of the leaders of this movement, I have been messaged so many times to come up with a solution, a more permanent solution than blue bracelets and safety pins, so that, like, when we're in the pickup line at school, we know how to identify each other. And some people suggested a tattoo, so I did go get my tattoo. I suggest everybody get this so that, like, when you're in the pickup line at school and you need to know what parents you can talk to, you just have to go like this.
There you go. Oh, okay. I was wondering what it was like. It's sort of like a blue tattoo on their hand. But what I get a kick out of is when she lifts up her hand to show the blue tattoo on the palm of her hand. It looks like she's doing a Nazi Hitler salute. But this all started, as far as I know, with this woman here.
So I'm liking what I'm hearing about the blue friendship bracelet movement, but I personally want something more permanent, more serious. I'm wholeheartedly devoted to what I believe in, and that's love. So can we come up with a tattoo and placement of that tattoo to mark ourselves?
Okay, so they want to mark themselves with this tattoo. And again, this one woman puts it on the palm of her hand, and then to show it, she lifts her hand up, and it looks like a Nazi salute. So it is hysterical, but I mean, whatever they want to go ahead and do. My thought is, you folks already have something like this. Some of you are walking around still this far out from COVID. You're still walking around wearing masks. And I thought that ought to be enough right there. Just go ahead and wear the face mask like you were before. I did watch a video just a couple of years ago, but a woman who wears a mask pretty much everywhere she goes, long after COVID. And when asked why, she said, I don't want people out there to think I'm a conservative. And so she wears the mask to virtue signal. It has nothing to do with health. It's to virtue signal. So other people know who she is. Okay, if that's what you want to do, you go right ahead, if that's what you think it is. But they're looking, I don't know what this is going to end up looking like. I have no idea. But if they do some kind of a mark, they want a blue mark somewhere, okay. Whatever you think you can figure out. And then part of what they say they want this for is so other people can know that they are a safe person. And my answer is, I don't think you are. I think you're toxic. The people who would do something like this tend to be the most toxic people out there, in my experience. And so if you want to signal to everybody out there who you are, go ahead, please do. To me, it's a lot like it. And I don't see this much anymore. You let me know if this is a thing. I don't see this much anymore. But there was a time when there were people walking down the street, especially guys, with their pants hanging way down below their butts, showing their underwear, basically. That was a fashion statement. Now, again, I don't see that too much anymore these days. It seems to have gone away. Now, my answer to that is, look, it's your body, it's your clothes. If that's the way you want to dress, you go right ahead. But it does help me out quite a bit. It lets me know, don't bother talking to that person. If that's their fashion statement, that they're walking down the road with their pants hanging down below their butts, it lets me know their level of intelligence, and I don't have to go talk to them anymore. I'll just avoid them. I'm not going to be rude. A lot of friends of mine would make all sorts of comments and things like that. I won't. I just look at it and go, okay, just avoid. Just avoid. Don't even bother. Not worth your time. Now, the pants today seem to have been pulled up. There's other virtue signaling or even just fashion statements out there that people use. But I'd like to identify from a distance, just avoid that person. So if somebody wants to go ahead and put it, like mask wearers, but if somebody wants to go ahead and put some kind of a blue tattoo on them somewhere, I want to mark that I'm a safe person. To me, it says you're a toxic person and I can avoid you. Thank you for putting that on you. I appreciate it. Let's see, Dirt Mom. That sounds like a lot of having the mark of the beast from the Bible. I thought about that too. Although the mark of the beast is supposed to come from government, though. But all right. Paul and Casper, they are already identifiable by the smell of pot and bodily fluids. Rihanna Fort Danger, she said, just wondering, what are they resisting? Lower gas? Safer country? Closed borders? What's wrong with these people? A lot. A lot is real. But let's go back to and this is where I think a big miscommunication is with those on the left as to what those on the right want. Now, you correct me if you think I'm wrong, but from my perspective, I look at this and think I want what America was founded to be, a nation of individuals. So if you would like to live your life as a liberal, you go ahead, whatever that means to you, and nobody's allowed to bother you. Just go live your life. Government's job is to protect that. For those of you out there who want to live your lives as conservatives, you do that. Even a deeply religious conservatives, whatever it might be, you do that. And government's job is protect your right to live the way you want to live. Whatever you're doing, whether religious, not religious, whatever the case is, you go do that. What you're not allowed to do is force people to pay for the lifestyle you want, and you're not allowed to force people to live the lifestyle you want. See, that's what America is supposed to be. A nation of free individuals. You go ahead, do your thing. By the way, living in a free country, for those who hate capitalism, well, living in a free country means a lot of responsibilities, which means you have to make your own way. You can't force other people to pay for your food or your housing or your health care or anything like that. That's up to you. That's what living in a free country is. You are responsible for yourself. All right? So those are the things that I think that America stands for, and what I want to see from the current administration, what we didn't get with the last administration. Biden administration, Biden-Harris for that matter, were people who wanted to force us into a certain lifestyle, whether we like it or not, including what kind of car we can drive, whether we can have a gas stove in our house, but other bigger issues as well. We have to send our kids to a public school, whether we like it or not, even if we don't agree with what the public school teaches, things like that. You know. They talk about freedom, and I'm actually showing what freedom would be. You get to make your own decisions. And if other people disagree, well, let them disagree. Nobody's allowed to force you into anything in a true free country. So I don't understand this idea. They're a bunch of fascists. They want to force you. Actually, no, they don't. But all right, coming up on some local business that we have to take care of, that's news time. After news time, update on your weather forecast. Don Day joins us at 7:45. We talk about the weather. And in that conversation, today, it looks like it's going to be really nice but breezy. Things get a little squirrely after that. He'll explain it to you. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Serious takes on local politics, or something like that. Tune in weekdays 6 to 10 a.m. to Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
7:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Morning, Bert. Bert's in Cheyenne. Dirt Mom's in Riverton. Or texting me on the Wake Up Wyoming app, which you can do too. Or 888-97-WOODS is the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. Thank a veteran today if you come across one, which you will at some point, many times over if you're out and about. All right, so a study shows that Wyoming is the most charitable state. Okay, that's nice. Great. In this story, though, the headline says, how to help a former WGFD director in his cancer battle. And one of the things they're doing during this is they're going to have a shoot-off, basically. You can go show up and shoot. November 22nd and 23rd, Wyoming Game and Fish, to help this gentleman, the department director, Scott Talbot, in his battle with cancer. And you can show up and shoot to help raise money. Now, the reason I bring this up is not only because he needs help, and this is going to be like skeet shooting, things like that. But I've noticed in Wyoming, whenever we do a charitable event, if you really want to make a charitable event successful in Wyoming, you bring guns. Every single Thursday for Thankful Thursday in Cheyenne, Wyoming, if you don't know what that is, Casper does it, Cheyenne does it. We have a party every Thursday for a couple of months in the spring and then a couple of months in the fall. And everybody shows up on these nights, and we have a big party. And there's all sorts of ways to raise money for a local charity. And every week we have a different charity. Now, most charities, I help host the one in Cheyenne, most charities show up with a gun if you want to be successful. And we're raffling off this gun. The same kind, sometimes it's a nice hunting rifle, sometimes it's a pistol, sometimes it's an AR-15. Oh, the devil's weapon. Yeah, do you know that? Well, no, obviously, the devil invented the AR-15, in case you didn't know that. Has to be at every single charitable event in Wyoming that I've ever been to. Oh, yeah, someone brought the gun to raffle off. In other states, that would completely freak people out. May not even be legal. In Wyoming, if you really want to raise money, you pretty much have to bring one. But also, I enjoy that this gentleman here, because they want to help him out. He's fighting cancer. They want to raise money for him. So show up and do things like shoot skeet. I almost said that backwards. Shoot skeet. And other things like that related to guns. And they have a GoFundMe page. The story's on the Wake Up Wyoming site. If you have the Wake Up Wyoming app and you get our alerts, Ms. Mary will alert that out at some point, so you can go ahead and join in and help raise money for the Game and Fish director here in Wyoming, Scott Talbot, as he tries to fight cancer. But as I was reading the story, I thought, wow, once again, in order to help raise money in the state of Wyoming, you got to bring the guns in. You imagine doing this in some other states, and pick your state. Go to even city. Go to Chicago. Go to Illinois. Try to do it. Go to Massachusetts. Try to do this. Can you do this in California? If we went to some of those states and tried to hold a charitable auction or event of whatever kind, and part of it was a gun raffle, I think the police would be in some of these places to try to shut us down and arrest whoever brought the gun. You can't just give someone a gun. Now, in Wyoming, okay, let's say you go to a charitable event and you see that there's a really nice rifle that you would like to have. You know, the AR-15, the devil's rifle. Obviously, he invented it. So you plop your money down and you win the raffle. Well, you can just take the gun home. And if you're wondering, well, what kind of bureaucracy is involved in and paperwork that you have to fill out? Now, are you a law-abiding citizen? You are? Okay. And we have a way to check that, a quick phone call. Are you a law-abiding citizen? You are. Okay, you don't have any felonies, anything like that? Cool, here's your gun. That's how we do it here in the state of Wyoming. Just go ahead, take it home, and you have a good time with that. Now, if you're not a law-abiding citizen, if you've been convicted of whatever else, and your gun privileges have been taken away because you're not a responsible citizen, and that's a different story. But I'm just was looking at that on our Wake Up Wyoming site this morning, and I thought, once again, in order to do something charitable, somebody had to bring guns involved in the state of Wyoming. And I'm just sitting here trying to picture what would happen in other states. We all know the answer to that. Well, again, if you'd like to help this gentleman out, the story is on the Wake Up Wyoming website. And I know some of you would like to get involved in the different kind of shooting that they have there and, get involved in some of the raffles. And it all goes to a good cause, as there's a gentleman with Wyoming Game and Fish who's the director who's fighting cancer and could certainly use our help and support. Okay, weather update with Don Day. He'll be on the line with me in mere moments. And like I said, today's a bit on the breezy side, but nice. It's after that we have to worry about. Let's wake up.
He's talking to himself in a padded room, and you could be the voice in his head. Join the conversation on Wake Up Wyoming, 866-97-WOODS.
7:45 is the time. Wake Up Wyoming off. We go to talk to Don Day from Day Weather. So overall, nice weekend-ish. You notice I put the ish in there, Don. I think we had this problem last time. Let's see here. See, he's there. I got that there. Miss Mary was having a problem with it. That's in the mono thing over here. Got that up there. We had a problem on Friday where Don was not able to hear me. So let's try this over here. And I'll just have to find out what the problem is because something is turned off over there. And I'm going to go to Don Day. Everything seemed to connect just fine, just like it did for you. Okay. There. I went ahead and put a note in for him just to go ahead and call me. Yeah, he says just static on that line. I don't know why. There's something weird with the connection there, but I just said call me, and I gave him the number over there, so hopefully Don will call in. And then I can go ahead and find out what's wrong with the connection there so we can talk to Don Day every day at this time. But, yeah, he should be calling you, Miss Mary, in just a moment or so from now. But, yeah, I had a hard time getting up, and I'll tell them if he's able to get through. I had a hard time getting up from Cheyenne to Casper on Saturday just because of all the snow and the weather. Because down in Colorado, they were having a pretty good-sized blizzard that lasted for several days. And getting up here was difficult. There we go. Don Day's on the phone with us. So I was just telling everybody, when I left Cheyenne on Saturday to head to Casper, I left at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and that was real hard going all the way up because it started with snow and slush and black ice and eventually just got to heavy rain all the way up to Casper. That was a tough drive.
Well, yeah, there was what we were concerned about that far eastern part of the state getting clipped by that big Colorado storm. And that really happened, as you witnessed, driving through it. But at the same time, boy, was that moisture needed in those areas.
Yeah, really was. That's what I did say while I was driving up. I'm not going to complain about the moisture. As we get into this week, though, I noticed today's nice but breezy, but I'm going to go ahead and throw squirrely out for the rest of the week.
Yeah, a little squirrely. I mean, we don't have a big storm in the west like we did last week, but we have two fronts, one coming in to western Wyoming and then across the rest of the state. Mainly, most of the state will feel the effects of this front tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night with some wind, some snow showers, especially in the mountains, and it's going to get a little colder. Today, though, is going to be a pretty nice Veterans Day out there. Then we wait the next front, but not until the weekend. And I don't think that front will be a big one. It's a little stronger than the one coming through tomorrow. But then as we get into next week, Glenn, I do see a couple of systems that look larger. So it is going to be a little squirrely, but I would say it pretty much lines up with what you'd expect as we go towards the middle of this month.
Okay, so make it through this week and watch out for next week. All right, thank you, Don. Appreciate you calling in. Don Day with Day Weather. So, okay, I'll get that problem fixed so we can get him on a regular line. Off we go to the Icebox to talk to Frank Gambino. So I went over to Wyo Preps, and, man, you got a lot of pictures up there.
all the high school volleyball.
Yep.
From Saturday and from Friday and from Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have more football pictures coming up later on today and tomorrow and Wednesday. It actually was a lot of fun.
How many of those pictures are yours, and how many are people who follow Wild Preps?
The volleyball, unfortunately, I took all of them.
Oh, okay.
So now the football will be other folks' parents.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they take better pictures than I do.
Okay.
By far.
Well, and now I noticed there's nothing here for swimming.
Well.
Yeah.
Swimming.
Yes.
Girls swimming.
It happened.
Cheyenne, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a big thing that was going on. There was a lot of people there. I know because I'm in Cheyenne and I'm watching all of the buses arrive.
Yeah. We don't have any underwater cameras here.
Okay.
So if we stick the cameras that we have in the water, then it's not going to work.
We can take a look at people diving into the water and swimming across the top of it.
Well, don't you want to see what they look like underneath, like the Olympics?
I kind of do, yeah, but we don't have the budget for that right now. So surface
you're
pictures
renting for like
fine.
$4,000 or $5,000, and you put.
Not a problem over there. We have some rich parents out there listening right now. They can go ahead and donate the cameras. Now we got to get the person who wants to stay underwater and hold their breath that long.
True.
Try to get
it won't be me because Frank doesn't.
Yes, no, Frank doesn't do this, and nobody wants to see you in swim trunks.
No, and neither do I. Actually,
it's bad enough when it gets into summertime and you start wearing shorts, and we have to put up with your knobby knees. I'm just saying.
It's okay. It's okay. National Football League from yesterday. The Denver Broncos choked one away. They lost at Kansas City 16-14. The Broncos played well enough to win, and they had the game-winning field goal attempt right in their hands. Will Lutz was attempting a 35-yarder, but it was blocked by the Chiefs on a major breakdown by the majority of the Broncos' offensive line. They were literally bowled over. Kansas City just playing fine ways to win by one score or less a lot of times. They're 9-0, and the Broncos are 5-5, and they're going to feel the sting from this for a while. They'll meet Atlanta on Sunday. High school football playoffs had their semifinal round over the weekend in 4A. Defending champion Sheridan beat Natrona 24-8. Cheyenne East held off Campbell County 35-34, so it's Sheridan and East for the 4A championship again at 4 p.m. in Laramie on Saturday. In 3A, Cody held off Douglas 49-42. Star Valley crushed Riverton 40-0, so Star Valley plays Cody again for the state title in 3A at 3 p.m. on Friday in Laramie. In 2A, Bighorn stayed unbeaten with a 35-25 win over Lovell, and Cokeville drilled Mountain View 40-14. Cokeville and Bighorn for the state title in 2A at noon on Friday at War Memorial Stadium. In 1A, 9-man, Lingo Fort Laramie pummeled Big Piney 52-6, and Pine Bluffs defeated Saratoga 42-12. Pine and LFL for the 9-man title on Saturday at 1 p.m. in Laramie. Finally, in 1A, 6-man, Little Snake River demolished DuBois 67-0, and Burlington beat Encampment in 3 overtime 74-68. LSR earned Burlington for the 6-man title in Laramie on Saturday at 10 a.m. State High School Volleyball Tournament wrapped up on Saturday at the Ford Center in Casper. In 4A, Kelly Walsh outdueled Laramie in 4 sets, 21-25, 25-22, 25-23, and 25-23 to win the state championship. KW last won a 4A title back in 2022. In 3A, Douglas in a thrilling 5-set match down Cody 18-25, 25-14, 17-25, 26-24, and 15-12. That was the Bearcats' first state title since 2017. In 2A, Bighorn repeated as the state champion there with a 23-25, 25-19, 25-21, and 25-18 win over Tug River. And in 1A, Little Snake River won a state championship for the first time since 2016, beating Cokeville 25-21, 26-28, 25-19, 21-25, and 15-9. That's it in sports for now.
72.
72 what?
I don't know. I was just trying to add it up.
Oh.
Adding and subtracting and doing, basically mathematical yoga to try to keep up with all the numbers you were throwing out.
You just absorb.
Just absorb it all. Yeah,
and then process the information.
That's okay. So we got football coming up next.
Oh, yeah. So I would be interested to hear what Don Day's weather forecast in Laramie will be for Friday and for Saturday.
Okay.
And probably even for Thursday for teams that are getting there on Friday to play. Some of them have significant road trips,
Yeah. Okay.
It's like state football in Laramie. You could have it really, really nice.
Yes.
And snow and wind and cold to take your breath away.
And they have to travel with all their gear.
Well, yeah. You just put it in the bottom of the bus.
Okay.
They got room.
Okay. They just put on all their gear. They wear it down. That probably saves room.
No. No.
Shows you what I know about sports. All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business. We got to take care. We're going to roll into news time. Open phones next hour of the program. 888-97 Woods. That's 888-97 WOO. DS, Wake Up Wyoming. Six the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Monday. Rinse and repeat, as we say. Oh, and make sure to think of Vet today.
Today's show is sponsored by the Reversible Bidet. It's refreshing for both ends. And now in soothing menthol.
Ooh, for both ends, too. You go ahead. I'll watch. And second thought, I'm not even going to do that.
Warning. Wake Up Wyoming is about to enter daily open phones. This means that anyone will be allowed to call in and talk about anything. I mean, imagine if we actually allowed you on air to say anything you wanted. Scary, right? Well, we're just that brand of crazy. If you are offended by what other people think, then maybe you want to tune out right about now. Just saying. If you should choose to call, just remember, the more funny and interesting you are, the longer Glenn will keep you on the line. Obnoxious jerks will be hung up on. Dave, all right, strap in, and let's do this thing.
888-97, what's the phone number? That's 888-97-WOODS. Talk about what I'm talking about, change the subject, fine by me. I'll just kind of roll with it. I am spending some time over the next, I don't know how long, just to make sure he's okay. Every so often, I just go to check in to see how Liz Cheney's doing. Not well, her head's still exploding. Okay, several stories I have that are just not, none of this is related. I just want to clear this stuff out of the way because I found it just great and you should know about it. First off, Babylon Bee, who has just spent the past few years killing it with great satirical story. So this headline is, Antifa member lectures D-Day veteran on how to fight fascism. And the thing is, the Antifa member doesn't realize he's the fascist. But all right, local activist and Antifa member marked the 76th anniversary of D-Day invasion by educating the D-Day veteran on how to fight fascism. Elmer, who's 94, lived about age 17, joined the Army, and was sitting near a World War II memorial Saturday, reminiscing about the day he stormed the beaches of Normandy and lost dozens of friends, according to sources. So this weirdo with, the Kool-Aid hair kind of a thing, approaches and launches into a diatribe about the evil of fascist America and the capitalist system. Dobbs, who risked his life in 1944 to stop the spread of totalitarian regimes bent on destroying freedom and democracy, listened intently to the finer points of fighting fascist rule for free enterprise. He explained his goal of liberating America from tyranny and democratic elections and private property ownership, the member of Antifa did. When Captain Dobbs asked how he hoped to triumph in such a great crusade, the Antifa member replied that he and his friends had dressed up in uniforms and marched into a city to destroy shops and businesses and intimidate others by shutting them up with their superior point of view. So you better go home, old man, the anti-fascist warrior said, holding a brick. It's not going to be a good night. It's going to be a night of broken glass, he said. Okay, so, again, oftentimes Babylon Bee nails it when it comes to satire. And in this case, that's why I said, in this case, the Antifa member who claims to be anti-fascist doesn't realize that he's actually the fascist. All right, then there's this one. Like I said, I monitor things. I go to different places and just kind of look at what are they doing? What are they talking about? So here's a Facebook page for feminists, right? And I just like to read what they're saying to each other to see a different point of view, so I'm not always in an echo chamber. This person writes, condoms are free on college campi. Yeah, if you walk into a college campus, you go into the bathroom. Men's or women's, by the way? Both. Free condoms. Condoms are free on college campus, but printing isn't? Yeah, printing, like printing something out of a printer, a piece of paper. So, sex is more important than our assignments, which I thought was an interesting observation. If you're going to have, I would make sure neither were free. If you need to print something, you got to pay for the paper and the ink and the electricity. That's why we charge you for printing. You need that, you pay for it. You don't get it for free. By the way, you weren't going to get it free anyway. If they didn't charge you for you at the printer, they were going to add it to your tuition. So you don't get it for free. Now, somebody answers, condoms are free because sex can cause serious health issues if it's carelessly done and can kill you as well. Lack of education won't kill you. It just makes you compare sex to printing. So this is the kind of conversations that I see when I go to these feminist websites and the convoluted logic. My answer is neither should be free. You need to print something, you got to pay for it. You want a condom because you want to go fool around with someone? Pony up the money for that too. Neither should be free. Then there's this next one. Now, again, I just like seeing the other point of view. This woman's name is Anne, and she has a PhD, and she has her pronouns as she, her. So right away, and there's a rainbow there. So right away you understand the point of view that we're coming from. I'm not being critical. I'm just pointing out, and this is her point of view. Okay. So she's talking about your pet. Whether you have a cat or a dog or a gerbil or a snake or whatever it is, a parakeet, whatever, your pet. Misgendering a pet can result in serious micro-conscious distress. Wow. I'm sorry, I even said that wrong. It's a long word. Micro-subconscious distress. Okay, there we go. So if you keep saying to your dog, good boy, but your dog doesn't see itself as a boy, that can cause micro-subconscious distress, according to this person. Pay attention to clues. Your pet will let you know his, her, their, or cyst identity through things like body language, toy preferences, and reaction to gender pet clothing. So when you go to dress your pet up, and your pet doesn't like certain clothing because it doesn't fit the gender. So this is Anne. Again, she has a PhD. And this is what she believes. If you're misgendering your pet, it's causing stress, micro-stress to your pet. Watch for let me read those clues again. Okay. Body language. How do you know your pet's body language? We're always trying to decipher our pet's body language, but okay. Toy preferences. Reaction to gendered pet clothing. So if you want to dress your little pooch up like a boy, but it sees itself as a girl, that's going to cause the pet to feel depressed in some way, and that is all your fault. Okay, so you need to keep these things in mind. If you have a pet, you don't know the kind of damage you're doing.
The person you have dialed has reached their people limit for the day. Please hang up and try back tomorrow.
And we're back. Sorry, we were busy tricking pescatarians into eating Rocky Mountain oysters. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
8:20 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. All right, 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. So, your Senator Barrasso here in Wyoming was interviewed on NBC Meet the Press, which I appreciate him going into what was once a great show. But now, is George Snuffleupagus still running now? I think he is. But anyway, so Barrasso said he thinks Republicans will immediately focus on the high cost of closing the southern border, which, by the way, some people are trying to add up how much money it will cost, not just to close the border, but send everybody back over the border. Now, my answer is you can save a lot of money by first doing this. Cut off all the free stuff. Right there, that saves a ton of money. Second, anyone who hires an illegal immigrant for their business is in big trouble. So there, that takes away most of the hiring. Just won't happen. And right there, these folks are going to leave, a lot of them. So instead of, we'll have caravans heading south because there's nothing here. That'll take care of a lot of them. Then you got to worry about the cost of actually gathering people up and deporting them. That's a whole different story. But I do think that that's the first way we go. And Barrasso went on to say, we've been working on the transition team with those things. Now there are some things that the president can do as soon as he takes office in terms of making some U-turns on these bad policies of the current administration, in terms of unleashing American energy, in terms of policing the border, reversing so many of these executive orders put in place. And by the way, remember, when Biden took office, I'm not going to do the executive order thing. We're not a dictatorship over here. We're a democracy. And then immediately he signed more executive orders than any other president in the history of executive orders. Barrasso went on to say, I expect to see the president put back in place the Remain in Mexico policy, stop this catch and release policy, he continued. And the Senate also wants to work very quickly, actually before the inauguration, on making sure the president's cabinet is in place. We're going to have hearings and vote. Well, that's right. A lot of the cabinet has to go through Senate approval. A lot. So that means they want to sit down and get this done as quick as possible. So when Trump gets into office, he has his cabinet. Everything's up and running right away. Barrasso went on to say, and he met a huge resistance in 2016 when he was inaugurated, and in 2017, putting the cabinet in place. What I'm hoping is that the result of this huge landslide victory, that we get more cooperation from the Democrats. Don't count on that. I would say, Senator, don't count on that to get a whole lot of in fact, I can go ahead and play this for you. And he's on Meet the Press. He's not being interviewed by Snuffleupagus. This is a lady sitting there interviewing him. Or does George Snuffleupagus do a different show? I quit watching the Sunday morning shows. I used to watch them all. But they got so bad, I just couldn't watch them anymore. They don't do news anymore. But anyway, here's Senator Barrasso this weekend, Meet the Press.
You saw there really was an earthquake election, the biggest comeback politically in the history of our country. You know, they used to call Bill Clinton the comeback kid. Donald Trump is the comeback king. He has come back from 2 impeachments, from being dragged through the courts, from getting shot. And he won with over 300 electoral votes, a majority of the people winning all these demographic areas. And, you know, he brought us 4 new Republican senators. We now have 53 Republican senators. What that proves is America, the people of this country voted. They want to get this country back on track.
And we should note NBC News still hasn't called Arizona or Pennsylvania. But let's talk about the earthquake, because Republicans do control the Senate, Senator. So talk to me about how you see this. How do you think, and what do you think the Senate Republican mandate is?
Well, the mandate are the 2 things that people cared the most about, which is the high costs and the open border. And those are the things we're going to start working on immediately. We've been working with the transition team on those things. Now, there are some things that the president can do as soon as he takes office in terms of making some U-turns on these bad policies of the current administration in terms of unleashing American energy, in terms of the policies with the border, reversing so many of these executive orders that were put in place 4 years ago. I expect to see the president put back in place the Remain in Mexico policy, stop this catch and release policy. And the Senate also wants to work very quickly, actually before the inauguration, on making sure the president's cabinet is in place. We're going to have hearings and votes so that on day one, January 20th, when the president takes over, he's going to have as much of the cabinet in place as we can get. And he met huge resistance in 2016 and when he was inaugurated in 2017 with getting his cabinet in place. What I'm hoping is that as a result of this huge landslide victory, that we get a little more cooperation from the Democrats in helping President Trump get that cabinet in place for day one.
Yeah, and this is the only place where I really disagree with what Senator Barrasso was saying there is. So I understand he wants to say it. We really hope you Democrats will cooperate. I do get that. I really hope you guys will cooperate. This was a huge landslide. But I think he knows what's going to happen. I mean, anything, all bets are off when it comes to stopping Trump from getting done what Trump wants to get done. So, yeah, getting the cabinet approved and in as fast as possible. If the Democrats don't help before the inauguration, then it doesn't matter, because after the inauguration, the Republicans have the Senate with 53. And so they can just sail through whoever Trump has put up and just get them in place, and Trump can start working. Now, on that note, remember the last time Trump was elected into office, what it looked like in Washington, D.C. with the protests. I've been thinking that at this entire time, the protesters have been getting ready. Signs are already being put up. Lord knows what this is going to look like. What we're going to get out of it is a lot of great memes, that's for sure. But you can just imagine how Washington, D.C. is going to be overwhelmed with so many people on the left. And I hope, well, I know, but as many people in America as possible, just watch what happens. Because for all the screaming, what happened January 6th when Trump lost to Biden, now imagine what's going to happen when Trump comes into power the second time and how the liberals are going to act. So watch closely. And I would have to say to the American people, don't watch CNN, don't watch MSNBC. They're not going to carry this correctly. In fact, one of my favorite places to go, I haven't used this in a while, but I like doing this. There is a website out there that has to do with just what's happening on the street in the news from a citizen point of view. When people grab their cell phones and start to just shoot live video of wherever they are, get rid of the reporters. You can go live. I'll get that website for you. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's in my notes over here, where you can just go ahead and click and watch and go from one person to the next, whoever's broadcasting live, from Twitter or X as they call it now, to Facebook, to TikTok, YouTube, wherever they might be. You get to watch the protests from within the crowds and the people who are protesting, getting around the news media and their coverage of it, so you can go ahead and judge for yourself. Coming up on 8:30, local news coming your way after local news update on the weather forecast. You and I get back into it again. 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Wake Up Wyoming.
It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio. Join the show at 888-97 Woods.
8:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Okay, I get to have a little fun with this. So, with a new Trump administration coming in and what he intends to get done for energy in America to make sense for our economy and energy, Of course, the cult of climate change is already in freak-out mode. Greta Thunberg, all screaming from her bedroom window out to the street. Well, she is just probably... I haven't heard from her in a couple of days. What do you think she's going through? But it's not just Greta Thunberg that's going through that. Poor Al Gore. I mean, talk about meltdown. He's just beside himself.
You're driving a big car. I come on your radio. I say the end's close. You just say no. I say it's global warming, but you call me a liar. But this planet's on fire.
Yeah, there's a whole list of them out there, and I'm waiting for the cult of climate change to get in 100% freak out mode. They already are freaking out, but I mean, when we really start getting things done and shutting down the nonsense. Well, first of all, the electric car markets are already falling apart. If we're able to get it done, which I think we can, end subsidies to things like wind and solar. We don't have the money for it, plus it isn't working out anyway. In the meantime, they're thinking that the end times is just, well, it's coming. It's soon. I have to look up how long do we have left on the 12 years until we hit the latest tipping point.
So put on your respirator and let's fix that generator. And while we're out, we'll mend our fences too. See, I'm not afraid of dying, just got reasons for surviving. I want one more day in the apocalypse with you.
Okay, so I looked it up. It was back in 2019 that Googly Eyes Cortez said that we have just 12 years to save the planet. And that doesn't mean that it suddenly ends in 12 years, but there's a tipping point that we reach, and there's nothing we can do about that. So that would be, I have this right, as we come up on 2025, that's more than that. That's 6 years ago. We hit 2025, that'll be 6 years ago. Because she said that in January 22nd of 2019, according to this. So, yeah, we'll hit 6 years ago when we get into January 22nd of 2025. So we're halfway there. We're halfway to, we are at the end tipping point. The latest tipping point, because remember, there have been so many tipping points before that. So here's some of the other things I've come across. Let's see. Gavin Newsom, that's in California, is holding last-minute meetings to regulate $113 billion in fuel fees. More reasons to move out of California. California Governor Gavin Newsom held a last-minute virtual event for his National Political Action Committee. They've been mobilizing voters nationwide, they say, which I counted down, before they approve $113 billion in credits for electric vehicle charging and hydrogen vehicles paid for by fees from gasoline. So in other words, if you drive a gas-powered car in California, you will be taxed, and that money will be sent to subsidize electric vehicles, hydrogen vehicles, and their charging stations. And more reasons to move out of California. Quote, this community has knocked on millions and millions of doors and made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of phone calls. I think we've logged, and he talks about all the work that they've done, but it's not what people want. Newsom, in terms as limited California governor, must step down in 2026. He's done in 2026. Should he wish to run for a higher national office, that's another thing, and he might just go ahead and do that. I was asked during the course of the weekend, when is Newsom done? 2026 is when he's done. But he's going to try to get done as much as possible. And will continue to be a grand exodus from California during that. Now, you'll love this headline. Let's go to Germany real quick. Headline: as fog persists for days in Germany, just days of fog and very still air, wind and solar, their output is zero. Wednesday, solar power was only supplying a single megawatt hour. The 1,602 offshore wind turbines, North Baltic Seas, each one the size of the Eiffel Tower, hadn't produced any energy. The wind had died. The fog had rolled in. So where's the energy supposed to come from? If they want to completely get rid of natural gas and coal, where's the energy? This is like 4 days in a row it's been completely shut down. Now, there was no danger of losing supply because they have coal power plants they've turned back on, and they're working on nuclear as well. But it's still, though, the story here says it says fossil fuels. I'll correct them, organic fuels. And foreign countries, the situation would have been dire. The fatal thing about this situation is organic power like coal and gas have been made politically more expensive in times of storage, high price, stuff like that. So they made coal and natural gas more expensive artificially. So when the wind doesn't blow and when there's so much fog that the solar panels are not working, you can still have energy, but it's really going to cost you. Now, here once again, did you know that the government in Germany is collapsing? Now, when I say that, don't expect that, okay, here come the Nazis again. Now, you know they have to build those coalition governments, right? So they don't have elections like we do. All these political parties get together. They have to make coalition governments to make it work, you know. It's a different kind of a system. Well, the current system that they have in place is collapsing. And part of the reason why is this right here. Not reliable energy, and when they do have it, it's extraordinarily expensive. All right. Next one for you. This is totally out of, pun intended, left field. Plastic-eating insects discovered in Kenya. You remember there was the big BP oil spill some years ago in the Gulf of Mexico. And at the time, environmentalists were saying it was irreparable harm, as in not repairable. Damage done would be permanent. That's what they mean by that. But, of course, not only did we clean it up easily, quickly, but nature cleaned it up as well, and we found that there are these microbes that eat oil. So the Gulf of Mexico is fine now. That was a big problem, that BP oil spill, but we cleaned it up, and nature cleaned itself up, and we're fine. The story says here there's been an exciting new discovery in the fight against plastic pollution. So for those people who want to get rid of plastic bags and so on, mealworm larvae are capable of, there is a type of mealworm larva, capable of consuming plastic. They join the ranks of a small group of insects that have been found to be capable of creating, well, eating, consuming, and pooping out stuff that's actually beneficial to us. But they like to eat plastic. Now, so far, these mealworms just exist in Africa, but styrofoam is another one, not just regular plastic, but even styrofoam. They eat styrofoam. So all sorts of packaging that's out there. I saw a commercial recently where the commercial is about going all paper, you know, and getting rid of plastic. Let's not do plastic anymore. Let's just go paper for everything. Well, we package a lot of things in plastic, a lot of things. So imagine instead if we're able to do something with these worms that like to eat plastic. And again, what they poop out is stuff that we can use, is beneficial to us as fertilizers. Using that instead. Then we can go ahead and make as much plastic as we want. We already can, but this is even better. 8:45, now 8:46, Wake Up.
Take Glenn anywhere with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
8:49 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino is waiting by. Frank, as I've said to you many times before, sometimes you want to advertise. Having a good sense of humor really gets people's attention.
Well,
sure.
Yeah.
Here's a realtor sign, house for sale.
Okay.
Right across the street is a cemetery.
Okay.
So on the realtor sign, it says quiet neighbors across the street.
Oh, yeah.
Gee, that makes
You
sense.
know what?
And it's true.
In Chicago, I lived near 3 cemeteries.
Yeah.
Very quiet.
Yeah, okay.
Except for some years they had a Doberman running in there to keep people out.
Oh, to keep people out.
Yeah.
Or maybe to sense the dead. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's fences around cemeteries. You know why?
Yeah.
Because people are dying to get in.
And also you want to keep certain people out.
Yes.
You've seen this one before. House for sale, not haunted. Okay. Free.
Thanks for telling me.
Yes. Which makes me not believe it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Free pizza with purchase of house.
All right, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I get my choice of pizza?
I think so, yeah.
Or is it one of those ones that was left on the roadside after that truck overspilled?
Here's
Called
one.
back
Matter of fact,
earlier.
have
Yes.
2.
Husband left us for a 22-year-old house for sale by owner.
Is the husband selling?
No.
Oh. The wife is selling.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Let's see here. The only problem with your current home is it's not this one. That's actually good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is good. You're always looking for an upgrade.
Sure. Okay. So you see, that's why I said before, if you have a good sense of humor, you get attention, you get talked about on radio shows, you sell your house.
See, it all comes together. High school football playoffs had their semifinal round over the weekend. In Class 4A, defending champion Sheridan on Saturday beating the Trona 24-8, and Cheyenne East held off Campbell County 35-34. So it's Sheridan and East again for the 4A championship that'll be on Saturday at 4 p.m. in Laramie. In 3A, Cody held off Douglas 49-42, and Star Valley crushed Riverton 40-zip. So Star Valley will play Cody again for another state championship at 3 p.m. on Friday at War Memorial Stadium in Laramie. In 2A, Bighorn stayed unbeaten with a 35-25 victory over Lovell, and Cokeville drove Mountain View 40-14. Cokeville and Bighorn for the 2A state title at noon on Friday in Laramie, and won a 9-man. Lingle Fort Laramie pummeled Big Piney 52-6, and Pine Bluffs over Saratoga 42-12. Pine and LFL for the 9-man title on Saturday at 1 p.m. in Laramie. Finally, in 6-man football, Little Snake River demolished DuBois 67-0, and Burlington beating Campbell in 3 overtimes 74-68. LSR and Burlington for the 6-man title in Laramie on Saturday at 10 a.m. In the NFL from yesterday, the Denver Broncos let one get away. They lost to Kansas City 16-14. The Broncos have played well enough to win, and they had the game-winning field goal right in their hands. Will Lutz was attempting a 35-yarder in the last few seconds of the game, but it was blocked by the Chiefs, and that was a major breakdown by the majority of the Bronco offensive line on that play. They were literally bowled over. Kansas City just playing fine ways to win by single-digit margins. It's amazing how they just do that. They're 9-0, and the Broncos are 5-5. They're going to feel this thing for this from a while, and they will take on the Atlanta Falcons coming up on Sunday. State High School Volleyball Tournament concluded on Saturday at the Ford Center in Casper. In 4A, Kelly Walsh outdueled Laramie in 4 exciting sets, 21-25, 25-22, 25-23, and 25-23 to win the state championship, and the KW last won a title in 4A in 2022. In 3A, Douglas with a thrilling 5-set match over Cody, 18-25, 25-14, 17-25, 26-24, and 15-12. That was the Bearcats' first state title since 2017. In 2A, Bighorn repeated as the state champions with a 23-25, 25-19, 25-21, and 25-18 win over Tug River. And in 1A, Little Snake River won a state championship for the first time since 2016, beating Cokeville 25-21, 26-28, 25-19, 21-25, and 15-9.
Don't try to keep up with that. He's just tossing out numbers.
These numbers are fairly accurate.
Yes, making them up as he goes along.
Fairly accurate.
You could throw out. You could throw out a bunch of just random numbers. Would they know?
Somebody would.
One guy, and he'll call you.
And he'll call like, Frank, you're
making that up, Frank.
Get with it.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Coming up on some local business that we have to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. Oh, ranked choice voting goes down in flames. For those people who hate the idea, well, you won that one too. It's Wake Up Wyoming. 9:06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Monday. It is also a day where you thank a vet. And trust me, you know many.
Today's show is sponsored by the Reversible Bidet. It's refreshing for both ends. And now in soothing menthol.
Yeah, so that way, you smell good from both ends. Or at least it's our best attempt.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave. Still waiting to do a check on Greg from Laramie. We just want to make sure that he's okay. And Dave from San Francisco, he's not... We haven't heard from him because he's not done screaming bloody murder yet. But when those two guys call in, I'll feel much better about it. Meantime, let's do a check to see how Liz is doing. Liz Cheney not doing well. Head continuing to explode. All right, 888-97 Woods, the phone number. Talk about what I'm talking about. Change the subject. Fine by me. So the story in front of me says ranked choice voting goes down in flames. Last Tuesday, story says, voters in 6 states decisively rejected ballot measures that would have brought ranked choice voting to places like, Arizona, Colorado, Ohio, Montana, Nevada, Oregon. All went down in flames. National groups spent millions of dollars on campaigning for ranked choice voting, saying it would enhance democracy and empower people, especially during Election Day for, angling people away from Trump is what I bet they would hope, but it doesn't work that way. Now, ranked choice voting, you can pretty much forget political parties on this. So we go ahead and hold a primary election, and whoever has the most votes goes to the final election, and then you go ahead and vote for them. It has nothing to do with political parties picking the candidate for the general election. But there's a lot of reasons why people don't like that idea. But all right. Adding insult to injury, Alaska appears on track to repeal ranked choice voting after using it for just 2 years. Missouri, meanwhile, became the first state to ban it at the ballot box. And the 11-state overall bar for ranked choice voting, in fact, the number of states to ban it, has more than doubled this year. Ranked choice voting, the story says, is a complex scheme. Seems better suited to a laboratory than a voting booth. But all right, it eliminates one person, one vote principle and asks voters to rank multiple candidates. So in other words, when you get the ballot inside the ballot box, you rank the votes. So let's say you're looking for someone who's going to be senator for your state. And we'll say there's 3 people on the ballot. So you rank them. I like this guy best, I like that guy second best, and that lady third best. There you go. You've ranked it. Rather than, and that's how you'll figure out who's going to be chosen, by the way everybody ranks it. Voting takes longer with ranked choice voting, the story says. Voter must learn to rank numerous candidates in multiple contests with each ballot. And counting ballots takes a hell of a lot longer. And the final tabulation can't begin until all ballots are received. And some states allow mail ballots to revise way after the election. So the story says the results are difficult to audit as well. So for those people, second or third, let me see. The results are hard to explain, especially when ranked choice voting catapults candidates who got second or third into numerous rounds of elimination. In fact, the story says ranked choice voting is so confusing that the wrong winner can be certified. That actually happened in Oakland, California in 2022. So, yeah, the whole idea of ranked choice voting goes down in flames. And this is why I've said many times before, like, for example, here in Wyoming with that Amendment A, you don't fix something by making it more complicated. That's why one of the reasons I wrote a book called The Uncomplicated Life. You fix something by making something less complicated. And ranked choice voting definitely makes it more complicated. Now, another thing, and people were asking me this the day after the election, but all right, Colorado had voted for this dumb idea to get rid of the Electoral College, that whenever wherever the popular vote goes, that's where Colorado's electors will go. Now, if you notice, if you looked at the map of the United States, Colorado is blue. So why didn't it happen? Well, you have to have a certain number of states in on the scheme in order for all the states to trigger it and do it. And not enough states signed up for Colorado's scheme and, the other states that were in on it. A few states liked this idea, but most states did not. Good. Colorado, you would have been screwed in this one. Because it went by the assumption, the Democrats who pushed this idea were going by the assumption that there's no way, let's say, Trump would win again. And yet he does in this massive landslide, which means Colorado, you Democrats down there in Colorado, your electors would be going off to vote for Trump ahead of January 6th, when the actual, I think it's the 5th, when the actual election takes place with the Electoral College. So even though Colorado, majority of people in Colorado went for Harris, your electors would have had to vote for Trump. So it's really a bad idea, and I hope you drop this idea. Also, to our schools in America, to our school teachers out there, and I know a lot of school teachers don't listen to this program, but okay, if we can get the word out to them, it would be good to learn, especially those, do we really even teach civics anymore? I don't think we do. It'd be a good idea to start teaching civics, teach how America works. That means the teachers would have to go back to class to learn, and not from their socialist professors, but from people who actually understand the Constitution and explain why we have an electoral college and how it works. There's a reason that we do it the way we do it in America. There's a reason. It's one of the things that makes America a republic and not a democracy, and why direct democracy is a bad idea. Now, for those people who do want direct democracy, you want capitalism. And I love saying that to people who are on the left. Direct democracy, the purest form of direct democracy is capitalism. They hate that idea. You get to vote every day. You make decisions based on what you do like or what you don't like. In fact, this weekend, I was going to visit a friend for breakfast. And he said, "What restaurant you want to meet at?" And I said, and I picked one. By picking that restaurant, I just voted. We went there, we spent our money there. That's voting. Terry Gal is in Fort Collins. Ranked choice voting works well when choosing a candidate for a college PhD program or something of that nature. It stinks for voting for politicians, and we are not a democracy. Hope we will never be a democracy. We are a Constitution representative republic. Yep. And then she goes on about mob rule, which is true. A direct democracy is mob rule that never works. It's a disaster. That's why we are a republic. So while the idea of ranked choice voting has been shot down in state after state, and hopefully more states give it up, it took a serious hit. This idea of, well, we're just going to go to the popular vote. That's not going to work either. There's a reason that we are a republic. But that was never taught to people in, here again, your middle school and high school teachers learned about the Constitution and democracy and being a republic, if they even know that we're a republic, from radical college leftists, college professors. So no wonder your kids don't know much about civics, if it's even taught in your local school.
And on the third day, God created the Remington bolt-action rifle. so that man could fight the dinosaurs.
Amen. Wake Up Wyoming goes anywhere you do with the Wake Up Wyoming app. Free download for Apple and Android. This is K2 Radio.
9:22 is the time. Whatever you're doing, just give me your attention for just a moment. You're really going to like this one a lot. An 82-year-old woman has just been arrested, 82 years old, after punching not one, but two Trump supporters in the face. The incident happened when an elderly woman, a snowflake, approached a group of Trump supporters who gathered at an intersection to promote the president. The 82-year-old suspect, who is not publicly identified by police, was accused of pushing and punching. Talk about a young pup, a 55-year-old. Oh, my God. And a 66-year-old after getting into a verbal altercation. There's no video of the fight, but police body cam have them arresting the woman. Sadly, the mindset of many of those on the left, and this woman, 82 years old, and she's throwing punches, boy. You got to give her credit for wanting to take on people that were half her age at like 55 and 66 years old. Okay, so the story says, I approached her and said, I want you to know why you're voting for Trump. And that's the only reason I wanted to know, and that's, okay. And okay, I think I might have, let me see if I can catch the audio for this. Instead of me reading it to you, I might be able to.
I approached her and I said, I want to know why you're voting for Trump. That's the only reason I want to know. That's the only thing. And I said, because you're brown skin. I mean, I know that that's what's going to happen to people in this country. I hate the racism in this country. I hate how people are treated. Okay? And so I'm wondering, why would somebody with brown skin support this man? And that was my question. And she immediately started screaming racist and came in with her face right up to me, just screaming at the top of her voice. And my response was to push her away, and I put my hand to her chin, and I pushed on her shoulder.
Okay, so that's the story that she's telling. But she wants to know, if you didn't quite hear that with all the traffic noise in the background. So here's someone, she says, her words, someone with brown skin, and they're going to vote for Trump. And she wants to know why. Because, I mean, there's so much racism. I mean, why would you do? I guess she doesn't understand the number of minorities that voted. First off, most black Americans voted for Harris, but there was just a huge chunk that voted for Trump. Now, this woman, obviously, she thinks that, well, I mean, Trump is just a racist. I mean, that's all there is. He's not. But that's what's been sold to her, and so she believes this. He's just a racist, so there's no possibility. Why would you vote for that? Hispanics in large number. And the last number I heard, but I need to check it, was like 71% of Hispanics voted for Trump. But then when you take other minority groups out there, and women, not just white women, but women across the divide, across many different ethnicities, women voted for Trump in large number. And so when this woman walks up and goes, well, why would you're brown skinned, why would you vote for Trump? Because she assumes racism. So I think the mistake, now, and I'm going by just what one person said, as, again, what she said, brown-skinned person, turned to her and started screaming at her, and so she pushed the person away and also pushed her face away. Either way, the old woman is being arrested for assault. No body cam or video of the exact, what was supposed to be the assault, so I can't say that I saw the altercation. I'm going by what witnesses said. And so the 82-year-old liberal is arrested for assault, but also completely not understanding what happened. You can't vote for Trump. Why? You're brown skin. Greg in Cheyenne, our country has 4 generations of people who have been told to trust the government to take care of them. That is a big problem. In fact, let me add to that, Greg. There's people who tend to think that I've talked about this before, tend to think that certain things are a right that are not. For example, healthcare is not a right. A right is not a product or a service that government provides for you. Healthcare is your responsibility to yourself, and if you have a family, your responsibility to them. You take care of your healthcare. That's your responsibility. So get out there and get with it. Okay, you're responsible for yourself and those that you're supposed to take care of. There's many other things that people think that government's supposed to be supplying for them. And I even come across Republicans who think the same thing. They think themselves as conservative Republicans. But then as soon as they need something done, government has to. The taxpayers need to. And that's not the way that we're meant to run in a republic like this at all. So you're right, Greg. We have 4 generations of people who trust the government to take care of it. I have seen over my lifetime, I've watched as government, in my eyes, not just government in general. Government's always been inept and naive and corrupt. In my eyes, not only have I seen government get worse, but my eyes are open to more at the same time. And so that's why I don't trust these people to get anything done. Nothing. I don't trust the government to take care of your health care or much of anything else. But yeah, people tend to think, well, government's supposed to take care of all of these things. No, they're not. But that's what they've been taught over the years. So yeah, retraining young generations to be self-sufficient, which is why I've had a talk before on this program about raise alpha kids. Raise people to not trust that government's going to get anything done because, again, government tends to be naive, irresponsible, inept, corrupt. Look what they've done with our budget, for God's sake. They can't even balance that, and they want more money. RH in Wiggins, Colorado. Hi, Glenn. Something which another person must not do or pray for is not a right. Or pay for, not pray for, pay for. Something which another person must do or pay for is not a right. Let me read that again. He said, something which another person must do or pay for is not a right. He's correct about that. Coming up on 9:30 local news, weather forecast. Wake Up Wyoming.
Listen to Glenn Woods anywhere you roam with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. I like what Smalls and Casper says. Healthcare is a service just like plumbing. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And okay, well, we're talking about those people who have this idea that government's supposed to provide all sorts of things. Not in this country. And by the way, there's one country in particular where government provides everything, and there's only one fat man in the entire country, North Korea. On that note, I was trying to figure out what was really the last story I was going to bring up for you guys this morning before I get to Frank. Speaking of North Korea, so since Russia is having such a problem in Ukraine, they needed more soldiers. And not necessarily on the front line, but to do other things. So Russia was able to negotiate a deal with North Korea. And there's a lot of North Korea soldiers behind the lines in Russia, but just around the border outside Ukraine. About 10,000 is the guess. Now, these guys have never been outside of not just the country, but even their own local province. You know what kind of country North Korea is. And when I'm looking at these soldiers, oh, my God, please, can we get them some food? They've never seen food. Not really. You know, North Korea is always starving. Like I said, there's only one fat man in North Korea. But besides being out there, some other part of the world, they now have access to some things they've never had access to before, like the internet. They've never really been able to play with the internet, not like we can. So if you give a bunch of North Korean soldiers access to the internet, what do they do with it?
North North Korean soldiers deployed to Russia are getting their first taste of the internet, and many are using it for something you might not expect. According to reports, the troops are diving headfirst into a world of unrestricted online content, with many indulging in pornography. It's a bizarre new chapter for soldiers long kept under strict digital control back home. According to Financial Times journalist Gideon Rockman, North Korean troops in Russia have never had unrestricted internet access before. As a result, many are gorging on pornography, taking advantage of the situation to view explicit content, something they've been denied access to in their own country. The U.S. Department of Defense was asked about this and responded by saying they're not familiar with the reports and are more focused on these serious aspects of the war, including the escalation of North Korean
okay,
troops.
so we can go into the rest of it there, but see, I think this is something we can take advantage of. If the North Korean troops, what they're doing, they have an opportunity. I mean, think about this. You have been cut off from the rest of the world your entire life. You finally get a chance to see the whole world as it is because you have access to the internet. And the first thing you do is porn. And then stick with it. Instead of going, wow, what is the rest of the world really like? Remember, one of the things, and some people find this hard to believe, but it's true. One of the things that helped the fall of the Soviet Union was the American television show Dallas. When satellite television came around, in Russia at the time, the old Soviet Union, they weren't allowed to watch satellite TV, but people figured out how to do it anyway. Then they started watching TV shows like Dallas. This is how Americans live? We were told that Americans were starving, that they were worse off than we were, that capitalism is a failure. Look at the way they live over there. That's part of what helped collapse the Soviet Union, is they actually got to look at the outside world. Now, I would hope, as funny as the story is, that they're engaging in pornography like crazy. Okay. But how many North Korean soldiers do you think are taking the time to really investigate the rest of the world? To see, they were told what the rest of the world lived like, but now they can get online and actually see it because they have unrestricted internet access. What is this going to do for their point of view of the rest of the world? Do they take this information home if they're allowed to go home and stay alive? You know what North Korea does with people. I mean, they all might just wind up in concentration camps, but think about it for a bit. Do North Korean soldiers defect, sneak off? I think some will. Once they finally get a look at what they're being. Imagine everything you've ever been told your entire life is a lie. Like you're a Democrat. Everything you've ever been told is a lie, and you finally figure out that it's true. You see what the truth is. You see the outside world in all of its naked splendor, pun intended. So, what do you do with that information? And I'm thinking many of these North Korean troops might just decide, hey, maybe it's a good idea if we sneak out of here. Which, this is even though I know they're under guard and all of that, but you think maybe they take advantage of it? I think a few do. I think we'll see some North Korean soldiers sneak out of there and get to somewhere else. Anywhere else. Please, for the love of God, don't make me go back home. Please. And can you get me to meet some women like I've seen in these videos I've been watching online? Because, dear God, we have some attractive North Korean women, but they don't have any meat on their bones. And, oh, by the way, since I've now escaped and I'm out here in the free world, could somebody, for the love of God, get me a sandwich? Take a look at some of these North Korean soldiers. Oh, my God, skin and bones. You mean there's an abundance of food out there in the world? Yes. Wait a second. I got to see what Chet in Yoder is saying to me here. Let's see. How did I see this coming? Hang on. Chet sent me a note on it. Give Ukraine their nukes. Okay. Give Ukraine their nukes back. How did I see this coming? About the pornography. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you're a young man that's been held in North Korea your entire life, and you finally get the internet. What's the first thing you do?
Want to talk to Glenn? Call 888-97-WOODS or chat him on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off to the icebox we go. Frank Gambino is waiting by. So, Frank, let your cat know that Wyoming is the kitty litter capital of the world.
Well, they don't make it here.
No, but...
They make it at the Purina factory.
Yes.
Right on I-70 in downtown Denver.
Well, there is a company that did move up here to make kitty litter here. There's one, anyway, that I know of. But the material for kitty litter comes from Wyoming more than any other place.
Like bentonite?
Yes.
Really?
That's mainly what kitty litter is. There's more to it than
They're
that.
mining kitty litter right out here, right down the road.
Exactly, because bentonite, essentially, is volcanic ash. And it clumps up in such a way, and then your cat pees on it, and it clumps up even more. You know, because you got to clean your litter box.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically, that's bentonite. So let me see. The story I found wasn't a lot of great things. Okay. Kitty litter made from granular bentonite, which is volcanic ash. Over 90% of all bentonite mined in the U.S. comes from Wyoming.
Mm-hmm. Casper, I think Newcastle has it too.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't.
So
90% of kitty litter.
So when your cat, if somebody takes a cat to Wyoming on vacation, let's say, the cat will see the state as a giant kitty litter box.
You're just taken by the big mountains of it that's right over here.
There you go. In fact, you can just go ahead and let your cat outside to do its business. Why, Frank, are you buying kitty litter?
When it's free.
It's right outside.
Just dig a little bit and you'll find it, right?
There it is, right there. Or just don't even dig. Just tell your cat the whole state is a big kitty litter box. Now, I know it doesn't sound good when I say it that way.
Well, it's more convenient. Yes. How are we going to put that?
I don't know. No, but that's how your cat sees it anyway. But yeah, I didn't know that. I knew that a lot of bentonite from Wyoming was used for kitty litter, but when I saw that amount, now it makes sense because you figure at one point there was a lot of volcanic activity in and around Wyoming, and so that piles up the stuff all over the place. And so I mean, it'll be a very long time. Cats pee a lot, but they can't pee that much.
We have more bentonite than for most cats.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Yeah. So
don't worry about the pee.
Many generations of cats, and who knows how many lives they will all have to live before they finally pee on all the bentonite in Wyoming. I'm just getting that out
99.
there. Okay? Yes.
State High School volleyball tournament wrapped up on Saturday at the Ford Center in Casper in Class 4A. Kelly Walsh outdueled Laramie in 4 sets, 21-25, 25-22, 25-23, and 25-23. It was a great match for the state championship. KW last won a title in 2022 in 3A. Douglas with a thrilling 5-set match down in Cody for all the marbles, 18-25, 25-14, 17-25, 26-24, and 15-12 was the Bearcats' first state title since 2017. In 2A, Bighorn repeated as the state champions with a 23-25, 25-19, 25-21, and 25-18 win over Tongue River. And in 1A, Little Snake River won a championship for the first time since 2016, beating Cokeville in 5 sets, 25-21, 26-28, 25-19, 21-25, and 15-9. The high school football playoffs had their semifinal round over the weekend, and 4A defending champion Sheridan got by Natrona 24-8. Cheyenne East held off Campbell County 35-34. So it's Sheridan and East again for the 4A championship that'll be on Saturday in Laramie at 4 p.m. In 3A, Cody held off Douglas 49-42. Star Valley crushed Riverson 40-0. So Star Valley plays Cody again for the state championship in 3A at 3 p.m. on Friday in Laramie. In 2A, Bighorn stayed unbeaten with a 35-25 win over Lovell, and Cokeville drilled Mountain View 40-14. Cokeville and Bighorn for the state title, and in 2A at noon on Friday at War Memorial Stadium. In 1A, Lingle Fort Laramie pummeled Big Piney 52-6, and Pine Bluffs defeated Saratoga 42-12. Pine and Lingle Fort Laramie for the 9-man title Saturday 1 p.m. in Laramie. And finally, in 1A 6-man, Little Snake River demolished DuBois 67-0, and Burlington beating Cameron in 3 overtime 74-68. LSR and Burlington for the 6-man title at 10 a.m. on Saturday at War Memorial Stadium in Laramie. National Football League from yesterday, the Denver Broncos choked one it away. They lost to Kansas City 16-14. The Broncos played well enough to win, but had a game-winning field goal blocked in the final seconds. Will Lutz was attempting a 35-yarder, and it was rejected by the Chiefs, and it was a major breakdown for the majority of the Bronco offensive line on that play. They were literally bowled over. Kansas City finds ways to win. They've won a lot of games by a single score. They're 9-0, and the Broncos are 5-5, and they're going to feel this thing for a while. And next up for Denver will be the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday, and that's it in sports.
9-0.
Yes, they just managed to find ways to win, and the Broncos in this game found ways to lose.
Well, 9-0 means they're going to go a long way here.
And they have been.
Yes,
they've been good for a while, and they figure it out.
Okay.
Somehow. Maybe it's divine intervention. Maybe I don't know. They just figure it out.
Somehow or other they get in there. So are these, you think, Super Bowl contenders?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
9-0, they might as well be. All
Oh,
right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on, you get to turn to your friends today and say, do you know that Wyoming is a big kitty litter box? Go find that story on the Wake Up Wyoming website. Share with them. All right, coming up on some local business news time after that and your weather forecast. Wake Up Wyoming.